Right. The Knicks make a move. They decide to bring in Mike Brown as their new head coach of the franchise. How do I feel about it? Sort of indifferent. I don't think it puts them over the hump and puts them in position to be a serious contender. And I don't think it makes them any worse than they already were last year. I think they're around the same because Mike Brown, he has his pros, he has his cons, but the one thing I can rely on him to not do is run his starters into the ground like Tom Thibodeau did. That is something Mike Brown will not do. I think he'll be way more cautious in terms of the the load he's putting on his starters and getting his bench players in there as well and making sure that everyone has a good rhythm, a good feel for throughout the midst of the season. Something that Tom Thibodeau wasn't able to do effectively, which ultimately resulted in him being fired. Um, I think the Knicks still need to make a move if they want to get over the hump and be a legitimate contender. Because yes, could they make it out of the East next year with this exact same roster? I think they could, but with the way those Western Conference teams are gearing up, especially Houston, OKC is still going to be in the picture. The Nuggets have done a tremendous job in restructuring their roster and getting some help on that bench to help Jokic space the floor with shooters and just getting guys that can play their role and do it effectively. Nuggets have done that they get an A+ for how they've managed their offseason so far. The Knicks, I think they still need to make a move. If you can, you try to go for Giannis. You try to go get the big duck and see if you can bring him to the Garden because like I've previously said, I think you can make it out the East. I just don't think you can compete with those teams, those juggernauts over on the Western Conference. You're not deep enough. You don't have a bench, and those teams have a great starting fives, and they're just filling out the rest of the depth on their team with getting really solid bench players. Overall, New York, you're going to be a solid team. You're still a playoff contending team. I think you need to make another move, but I'll give this move in signing Mike Brown. I'll give you a C+, B- around that area because it's not anything to really brag about. I still think there was maybe better candidates you could have considered or went in another direction to instill a different culture in your organization/franchise. But hey, that's the move you went with. You got to live with it. We'll see what happens. It is what it is.